After I left school, I always knew that I wanted to go to university to get my degree, but it seemed like everything that I was doing to try and complete my degree, it seemed like everything was going wrong. My life felt like it was upside down. There were so many problems coming from left, right and center. I had a child to take care of. Then when all the problems of taking care of my son, being a single parent came along, it seemed impossible for me to achieve that dream that I always wanted. After I found my faith in God, then I started to put everything that I had learned into practice. And once I had done that, then I was able to use all those tools for me to achieve my dream that seemed so impossible for me to achieve. Now I'm a graduate and reaching for my dreams.
Hello, a very good evening and welcome to Finding Answers. Today we're talking about, do you choose success or failure? And actually, is it something you can choose, or is it something that life throws at you? Sometimes life throws you a curved ball, as they say, right? Now, do you get to choose success? Do you get to choose failure, or you just stumble upon either? We're going to talk about this, if you can choose one of these two. I have Victoria here with me tonight. Good evening, Victoria.
Good evening.
Can you choose success or failure? Is it something you can choose?
Well, I was looking at some research today, and the University of Ohio, who study a lot of sports psychology, has said that you can actually choose to be a successful athlete, and then those mental abilities are across the board, so it's not just sports psychology. So they say that you can learn and choose to be successful.
Okay, so what if a person is hopeless at a certain sport, but they choose to be good at it? Will they ever be good at it?
Well, that's an interesting point. I suppose that would depend on whether you need natural skill or ability. Yeah, that's a good point.
Okay, but I do believe that you can choose to be a failure or to be a successful person. Now, of course, this may sound silly to you because maybe you say, James, I have never chosen to be a failure. I didn't wake up one day and say, I'm going to be a failure today. So how can you say that you choose to be one or the other? Because the truth is, it all has to do with how you react to the negative situations that happen in your life. Because if something bad happens to you and you react to that in a way where you sort of don't even want to try anymore and you just want to sit down and you want to shut the world out, then you're choosing to become a failure. Because the success of tomorrow depends on the decisions you make today. So you can choose to be a success, you can choose to be a failure. And of course, the problem with this is that our human strength and motivation can only get us so far. And when your human strength runs out, when your human motivation runs out, that's when faith plays a part in making you a success or a failure. And of course, faith will always make you a success. Tonight, I have a young man who tried to choke his dad to death. He's here with me in the studio tonight. You're going to meet him a little bit later, Michael. He tried to choke his dad to death. That's how angry he was. And another young man who is here with us also, who will tell us about how he looked at his future and he couldn't see himself as a successful person. However, he is one tonight, and he'll be sharing his experience with us a little bit later. First of all, here's a video about tonight's topic that Victoria has prepared.
Humans naturally like to mark the progress of their lives by their successes, such as learning to walk, finishing school, earning an award, starting a business, getting married, and more. These successes are important to us for deep psychological reasons. They are the reassurance that we are competent and capable. Our successes may also be linked to an essential belief in our own goodness. To the unconscious mind, being successful means being good. And being good means being worthy to exist, worthy to keep on living, worthy to be kept around. At the deepest level still, being good means that we are worthy of being loved, and being loved is ultimately what matters to us most. However, we do acutely remember the life-shaping experiences of failure, falling off the bicycle, failing the exam, and failing to get the interview. Like successes, failure stands for something deeper. It's often more than just a setback, disappointment, or lost opportunity. Unfortunately, failure can unconsciously become linked to some troubling beliefs about ourselves. Put simply, failure reinforces our underlying belief that we are no good. It can make us feel helpless, ashamed, and bad. Failure is inextricably linked to a belief that we don't have what it takes to make it in the world. That what we do will always fall short or ruin the good. So, can we ever choose success or failure? Motivation and self-belief are inextricably linked to how well we do. Having a positive attitude can help you anticipate happiness, health, and success, and help you believe that you can overcome obstacles and difficulty. So, do you choose success or failure?
Here's the thing, you can't really change the deck of cards, not the cards, but the hand of cards you were given. Please, don't cut me. I've walked, follow me with the camera, because otherwise it's a little bit difficult, right? Here's the thing, you can't deal the hand of cards that was given to you. Is that how you say it? You can't, you can't change that, right? If you play cards, I personally don't like, but if you play cards and you're given a hand, and it's not a good hand, you can't just stop the game and say, listen, I didn't like this. That's your hand of cards. You're going to have to make the best of it. You can't change that. But what you can change is along your life, you can make changes to give you a better chance at becoming a success. And that's how life works. You adapt, you evolve, you try to change things. But the problem, I believe, Victoria, with many people is that when a success of a succession of negative things happens to you, you can get to a point where you just don't want to try anymore, and then you become a failure, not because you want to, but because you quit.
Yeah, if there are successive negative things that happen in your life, it really can get you down. We often talk about how people need to psychologically recover from something. So if there's a trauma or an event, a negative event, then you obviously suffer through that, but then you can make your way back up and become more positive. But if it's one after the other, then it is very, very difficult to keep positive and stay motivated.
Yeah, and you know, perhaps you're watching me now and you say, James, I feel like this. I've lost the will to live. I've lost the will to try to make my life get better. I don't have that will anymore because I've tried so many times and I failed. And I feel like a failure. Maybe you don't want to feel like that. And I think a problem is also feeling like a failure, because if you feel like a failure, it reflects in your actions. You know, you can see how a person is just by looking at them. When the person is defeated inside, they walk as a defeated person. Their body language already shows that, and perhaps you don't want to be like this. But after God knows how many refusals when you applied for jobs and you keep hearing no and no, that you're not good enough, perhaps you say, what can I do? Perhaps you've tried, saving money. Every time you save some money, something happens, you lose that. Money is like water in your hands. Perhaps you've tried to be positive, but you can only be so positive, and you want to quit. I want to speak to you. I want to speak to you, and maybe you want to speak to me live on air. Maybe you want to speak to our team here who's going to help you, to pray for you. But either way, the number to call is 020-7686-6300. That's 020-7686-6300. Or send us an email to help@findinganswers.tv. If you like your social medias, you can also contact us through Twitter and Facebook, and you can do that how, Victoria?
So you can send us a tweet, just start your tweet with @FindAnswersTV, or you can follow us on Facebook, just search for Finding Answers.
We're going to go into a short break. We'll be right back to hear the amazing story of Michael and Elijah. And remember on Monday I told you that I would be speaking here today, actually yesterday, about God's currency. He does have a currency. I wasn't able to be here with you last night, but I will talk to you about this when we come back from the break. Do you want to know what God's currency is? I don't know, Victoria, do you think we should keep this until the end of the program or now?
We can do. I could always put a question out on Twitter.
Do that.
Okay.
Okay, Victoria's going to do that. Twitter and Facebook maybe.
Yes, yeah, I'll do both.
We're going to put it on Twitter and Facebook. We want to hear from you what God's currency is. Is there a currency that God uses? I'm telling you that there is. I'll let you know what that is at the end of the program, before we make the prayer for you. And that currency is very, very important. I want you to learn how to manage that currency. Now, we were talking about choosing success or failure. In any given situation in life, you can choose to be a success or failure, be it in your marriage, be it in your career. You can be an average person in your career, or you can be a success. You can have an average marriage, or you can have a successful marriage. Of course, that the difference lies in how much you sacrifice for the success you want to have, right? A marriage does require sacrifice. You have to sacrifice a lot. What kind of sacrifices does a person have to make in a marriage, in a relationship?
Oh gosh, are we talking about things like time?
Could be.
Who you spend your time with, where you live, those kind of things?
Also, but I think, for example, you have to sacrifice even sometimes your personality, because there may be things in your personality that, you know, the person may have to adjust, and you have to tone down certain things and until you find the right level that will agree with the other person. These are little sacrifices you have to make. Like you said, time, right? You have to sacrifice your time to be with the person. But the truth is that everything in life requires sacrifice. You're a psychologist, right? You had to sacrifice to get that degree, while others were perhaps out partying. If you had an exam coming up, you had to study.
Yeah, that's true. I just always associate the word sacrifice with really quite, negative connotations. But yeah, I suppose if you put it that way, yeah, we have to sacrifice all the time.
Yeah, and sacrifice can be a very, very positive thing. And sometimes the difference between success and failure is that. Of course, maybe you say, James, I have done that. I've sacrificed all my life to be the best at what I do, but that hasn't been enough. I still failed. I still came short in what I tried to do. Then what you need is, you need faith. You need to learn to use your faith to make the difference, to make the scale to tip in your favor. Now, I want to introduce you to tonight's guests who are here with me. They're going to be sharing with us their amazing story. Let's go and meet them.
Pushing me for the rest of the week, so it's like a boost.
Things were really tight.
Today, the way I see myself is completely different.
So I have here with me Michael and Elijah. Good evening, guys.
Good evening.
How are you?
Fine. Good.
We're going to start with you, Michael. You were a very angry person, right? But did that anger come from somewhere, or were you always angry, or did that start because of something that happened in your life? Tell us about that.
It started from like a really young age, from like when I was 6 years old. I used to see my mum and dad have a lot of fights, and as I was 6, I felt like powerless. I felt like I couldn't do nothing to help out my mum, because my dad was always, like, if I could say, hurting my mum. But there was one day when I saw my mum bleeding from my dad punched her.
But what kind of things did you used to see your dad doing to your mom? In terms of, you said there was violence. What did you see happening?
So like sometimes my dad would get a belt and whip not just me but my mum also, and he would chase us to our room. Sometimes I wake up and I see bite marks because he used to like bite me because he used to drink a lot.
But he would come and bite you. What, while you were sleeping?
While I was sleeping. So that's what used to happen at a young age. And there was a time when I saw my mum bleeding from my dad punching her, him punching her. So at that time I was thinking, like, I can't do nothing. Like, what's going on? So at that moment I had a strong hatred towards my dad.
So you hated your dad?
I hated him for that because I love my mum with all my heart, but I couldn't do nothing because, as I said, I was only like 6 or 7 years old, so I felt powerless.
I think most people that are watching us now will probably say that your hate towards your dad was justified, because some of the things you're telling us now, they must have been horrifying to watch.
Yeah.
So your dad beating your mom with the belt, punching her, biting you, that's I've never heard that one before. So you grew up seeing that?
Yes. Then afterwards, because my dad was really wealthy, he had a business back at home and etc. And my mum wasn't really, if I could say, wealthy and etc. My dad left my mum. But when that happened, it's like she had to go back to square one, and that gave me more of a reason to hate him, because he left me and my family, so we had to move into a house by ourselves. My mum had to start working, and things were really hectic. And as a young person, I couldn't get what I needed and what I wanted in school and etc. So that hate, if I could say, it grew a lot. So
you had all the ingredients as a young person to become a failure.
Yes.
Your dad was violent beyond belief. He left you and your family, your mom, you guys had to start from scratch, financially speaking. Things were very tough, and you had this hatred. You grew up as a person full of hatred.
Yes.
How did that affect you as you were growing up?
As I was growing up, because I started to go secondary school, and people like do a lot of cusses, like they'll cuss your mum. But when people cuss my dad, I will get really angry that there was a time that my friend almost pushed me to the road because I punched him. It's like things like that. And I used to have fights in school, but I didn't really like that side of me. I didn't really like that side, that angry side. So what I used to do is that I would use a different way by going out of girls. I used to do things with girls. There was a time when I went out with 15 girls just to avoid thinking about my dad.
You went out with what?
15 girls at the same time. So it was just
not on the same day, right?
Not on the same day. So
that would have been very weird.
Like,
so you were dating all these girls at the same time. Why were you trying to forget about your problems?
Yeah, I was trying to forget about my dad. I was trying to forget about my family. Like, I'll try to avoid going home a lot because I didn't want to go back to that lifestyle. So that's what used to happen.
Now, did you ever have physical fights with your dad?
Yes. There was even a time when he came back to the house, then he tried to, like, if I could say, be a dad again, but I didn't accept it.
How old were you at that time?
I was like 15. This time I was a lot older, 14, 15 years old this time. And I remember he was telling me to do something. He was telling me not to go out the house, like trying to be a dad, but I didn't want to listen to him. So he fought me, and me and him both had a fight. He punched me. I punched him back. Then it got into a big fight, and it was even a moment when I was strangling him almost to death. Then my brothers had to come and pull me off.
So you were strangling your dad?
Yeah.
What, were you strangling him on the floor, against the wall?
I was against the wall, right next to the window. Then I saw the window, and I wanted to jump out just because I just wanted to get out of the house. And my dad was like, jump out, then jump out. But my brothers had to calm me down. So it was just because of something so like silly. But the hatred toward my dad is like it overwhelmed me in that moment.
Did you ever feel loved by your dad?
When I was younger, because like I said, he had the financial like means to buy me stuff, and my mum couldn't. So that's the only time. But since then, no.
Right. So you were this angry person who that anger spilled into your friendships as well. You said you used to punch your friends as well. And if you put all these things together in a young man, when you look forward to life, did you see yourself as a successful person for the future, or what did you see? How did you see yourself in the future?
I saw myself like either with a lot of people pregnant, a lot of girls pregnant, either in jail or dead, because from just a simple thing like my family, people wanted me dead because of if I could say, the girls I was going out with, because I was interfering with other people's relationship, like people that were in gangs and etc. So that would get me into trouble. People wanted to kill me and etc.
I think we have a few pictures of what you looked like before, which is still you, but just had this gangster attitude, right? Although you weren't a gangster, but you were an angry person, very angry person. We're going to find out how things changed, how you changed. Now, going to you, Elijah, before you came to the church, if you were projecting your life in your mind 20 years into the future, how did you see yourself?
I saw myself as a failure. Like, I always saw myself as a failure because, like, when I was growing up, I had a lot of issues within inside myself. A lot of shy. I was very shy. I was not confident at all. I had a lot of complexes within myself as well, because when I was in secondary school, I used to get, not bullied, but like picked on because I was the shortest, I was the slimmest amongst the crowd in my class as well. So a lot of times I used to think that, why am I not like this guy? Why am I not like this? Why am I always being picked on and stuff like that? So I always thought to myself that, you know, I would never achieve something great in life. I always used to think that, okay, I'm just gonna be like one more statistic, because I grew up in a house that was, I just grew up with my mom and two siblings, including me. So it's three of us, and I was the oldest one. So I always had that in my mind that, you know, I had to portray that, you know, I was the one that's gonna be looked up to, because I was the oldest in the family. But I always had these issues within myself. Nobody knew.
What were the complexes about? Because usually the complexes are about something, right? What were you complexed about?
I was complexed about my weight, because I was very, very skinny when I was young, and I saw a lot of guys in school that was very muscular. They always used to have that arm wrestling contest. Used to have those little fights in school, and I would never like to be joining that, because like, I used to think to myself that, no, I would get like dismantled, or I would get, you know, shamed because of my weight and everything. So that was one of the reasons why I used to think that, you know, I can't make it in life, you know, because look at this guy, look at me. I always used to compare myself to different people.
So we were saying earlier that when a person is defeated in their mind, that shows through their body language. You already see the person, you know, they usually slouch or they walk looking at the ground. Is that the kind of person you were?
Yes. Would
people look at you and see you as a defeated person?
Many times they used to see it in my eyes. I believe that's the reason why I used to get picked on a lot, because they used to see it within me that, no, this guy's not a confident guy. This guy is not, you know, he's not bold enough to stand up for himself. So that's the reason why I used to get picked on a lot, because I used to come to school, you know, like just living like as days went by. I didn't come to school with a motivation or, I'm going to achieve this. I used to come to school because of, I had to go to school. Sometimes I used to hide it within myself, like just to be with friends. But deep down within myself, I knew that, you know, I was not going to be someone in life. I was going to be just one more person just living.
Right. So it's interesting, because what you do now as a career, you need a lot of confidence, right, to do what you do. I'm not going to tell you yet what he does, but it's interesting because you went from one extreme to the other. But you're going to hear what he does and how his life changed, because that's the bit that matters. And you know what? Sometimes if you tune into this program, usually you've seen here people with amazing stories. And then you think, well, you know, that person is saying there in the space of 10 minutes how their life used to be so horrible and now how their life is great. And maybe you think, well, I want that. The thing is that there's a space between the horrible and the great, failure and success. And that's the gap many people don't want to walk through, because you didn't achieve what you have and who you are now overnight, right?
No, I didn't. No, not at all. It took time, took progress. Sometimes I used to think, okay, yeah, I'm going to make it. And then other times I used to think, no, I'm not going to make it. So it was a constant battle each and every single day. It was not just over one night.
And you know something that's important, I'm sure that this helped you, because in the church this happens a lot, is when you have someone, you know, rooting for you, spurring you on. Think about that. You know, Arsenal played tonight, and, you know, they won 1-0 in the last minute of the game, as usual, right? Either that or they would lose. So, but I imagine that in those last 10 minutes, there's, I don't know, 60,000 fans, you know, shouting the player's name and shouting the team's name. And that motivates them. It just gives you the extra, you know, half an inch sometimes you need so you can connect with the ball and score a goal. It's the fans shouting your name. And going to church there and having, you know, people who are there in the same faith as you and telling you, you can do this, you can become a better person, a stronger person, a success, that makes a big difference. Would you agree with me?
Yes, I do, because when I come into the church, there was a lot of motivational speakings, like people coming to me and saying, you know, you can make it, you can be someone in life. And then that started to have effect on me. And because of that, my mind started to change to believe that, okay, yeah, I can be someone in life. I'm not going to be just one more person, but I can be someone in life. So I could be someone I could look back at myself and say, yeah, I achieved this, and that. So in the church, it helped me a lot to change my mentality of who I was before and who I am now.
Yeah, because motivation is contagious. When you are close to people who are, you know, full of joy, you feel happier. If you're close to people who are depressed, you're going to feel worse. You're going to feel probably very sad, very down as well. So that's why it's important for you to be in an environment of faith that can make you feel better and can make you feel like you can achieve things. Now, we're going to go into a short break, and when we come back, we're going to hear from Michael and Elijah how they changed their lives and how they are now. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. And in the meantime, if you want to talk to someone who will root for you, like we were saying, who will say, let's do this together, let's overcome this problem together, then give us a call, 020-7686-6300, 020-7686-6300, or send us an email to help@findinganswers.tv. We'll be right back.
I remember when I was 15, when I was first introduced to drugs, you'd think that addiction wouldn't start. Smoking and selling and having sex, going to parties. It was like my escape zone. How I heard about the health center, I'll never forget that. It was a Friday. I had to say to myself, no, I need to stop. I've been clean for about 2-3 years.
Hello and welcome back to Finding Answers. Tonight our topic is, do you choose success or failure? So as we mentioned earlier, I have put a question on Twitter and Facebook asking you, what is God's currency? And we're going to be answering that question at the end of the programme. Now, as usual, we've been out and about talking to the general public, and today we asked them, can you actually choose success or failure?
Definitely depression is probably number one.
They're arguing and they're talking negatively about each other.
What is more valuable than another? And so
you can have as many friends and families as you want. It just depends.
Is a common regret, like, oh, like I should have like asked that person out, or like.
Do we choose success or failure? I'm on the streets of London finding out the opinions of the public. Let's see what they say. Do you think people can actually choose success or failure in their lives?
Yes, of course, because you have to choose it, because if you just give up, you won't get the success. You have to work towards it. Thus, I think that if you're working towards it, of course it's your choice, because you're choosing to work towards having success.
They can choose success rather than failure. I think success is the great way to choose, so yeah.
So do you think failure just comes naturally when you don't choose to succeed?
It can come also from being lazy as well and not concentrating, you know?
It's not a choice. It comes with what you put towards what you're aiming for. So if you want to be successful, you want to work towards it, do it. And success, there's no definition of success. Success doesn't mean having a fancy house and a nice car. Success could be reaching the goal that you've imagined in your head or the person you want to be, and then you've reached your success. Other people may see that as failure, but to you, success is a personal matter.
I think they can achieve by working towards what they want, and if they've got a strong dream of what they want to do, then they can do it. Just they have to have passion to do what they want to do.
I think you can choose success, but I think failure can happen to you. I think people who are successful who didn't necessarily make themselves successful aren't truly successful, they're lucky. And people who are a failure can be so because of forces beyond their control.
Actually, it depends on you, because if you're hard working, obviously you're heading for success. But if you choose not to work hard, that means you're basically choosing for failure. So
there was a lady there that said, there's people who think they're successful, but actually they're just lucky. I disagree with that completely, because even if you happen to be born in a very wealthy family, you can make some very poor choices, and your success still depends on your hard work, on your sacrifice, and on faith. So it's there's no such thing as, some people tell me sometimes, James, you have a good marriage because you're lucky, you found a good woman. Luck has nothing to do with it. It's because of hard work. Now, Michael, going back to you. So you were there, strangling your dad.
Yes.
You wanted to jump through the window because you wanted to get out of the house. You had all these girls that you were dating to try to forget about your problems. Why did you come to the church?
I came to the church because I saw people, like my friends, I saw a change in them through secondary school and etc. So I wanted to see the same thing happen to myself. So that's the main reason why I wanted to, why I came to the church, because I wanted to see a change inside of myself.
So you knew that they were coming to the church.
Yes.
And you saw them changing. So you thought, I want that.
Yes.
So when you came, you had so much hate towards your dad, so much anger. How was your change, your transformation process? Was it difficult? Was it quick? How was it?
It was really difficult because my dad eventually came back to the house, and that was the hardest moment, because there was a time when I wasn't speaking to him at all, but through coming to the church and hearing different kind of steps and tips, I put it into practice at home. So I'll be saying hello to him in the morning, some simple stuff like that. So just simple stuff which led to like us going out to eat and etc. And in that moment, I was like, I'm actually moving forward, which I didn't see myself like doing a couple months back before I came to the church.
Now, those first few times that you were talking to him, saying good morning and so on, did you feel like saying good morning?
No, I didn't want to. Like, there was even times my mum would like push me to say hello or like.
So you didn't want to do it, but you did it anyway.
I done it, yeah.
Okay, I wanted you to say that because a lot of people say, well, James, I know I have to forgive, but I don't feel like it. I know I have to talk to this person, but I don't feel like it. You don't have to feel to do anything. You force yourself to do it in the beginning, and eventually you are able to forgive and things then come naturally. Is that what happened to you?
Yes, it just happened naturally. Now we speak a lot, like a lot.
I mean, how long did it take you for you to let that hatred go?
Took, if I could say, a couple weeks of just putting things into practice and doing things continuously.
So after a few weeks of coming to the church, you were able to forgive him?
Yes.
Okay. How is your family now? How are you now? Are you still an angry person? And how does your future look like?
How am I now? I'm a lot better. Like, I don't have these like problems with girls and etc. And with my family, me and my dad are really close. We go out to eat a lot of times.
We have a picture of you and your dad. Sorry to continue on you. Your dad and I think, is that your brothers?
Yeah.
Do we have the picture? That's you there.
Yeah,
everybody's smiling. Is that a genuine smile or fake smile?
No, that's a genuine smile.
So you didn't just smile for the camera?
No, we didn't just smile for the camera. I can't remember what day that was, but we just went out to like eat like randomly because that's what we have this kind of bond now. Like,
and what about the violence that used to happen in the house?
No, the violence is cut down. Like, there's no violence at all. My mum and dad, they speak now. So things have like literally changed since I've came to the church.
Right. So you are now a different person and your family is different as well.
Yes.
So now you have success ahead of you.
Yes.
That's great. Now going back to you, Elijah, you were saying that you were this person with all these complexes. You weren't, very sure of yourself at all. And now you have a job that you have to be sure of yourself. You have to be confident, because now you are a photographer, right?
Yes.
And you do what kind of photo shoots do you do?
I do photo shoots. I cover like events like birthdays. I cover weddings, graduations, all sorts of events. So I'm always meeting new people all the time, meeting new people. So that kind of helped me to build my confidence as well, because you have to be bold to speak to people that you don't even know, because you can't be shy. You can't be, that closed person, because you're progressing yourself to the client. So if the client doesn't see that you're confident, then they wouldn't come to you again. So I had to be confident within myself in different events, especially weddings as well, birthdays as well. I do photo shoots as well.
Photo shoots as in what?
As in like fashion photography. Like, so I get like models that come to me and ask me, they want to do a shoot. They're trying to do a new lookbook for themselves and everything. I get fashion designers come to me as well, asking me if they want to do a collaboration. So with that as well becomes confidence, because you have to be confident, you have to be bold.
We have, I think they just showed the pictures. I didn't get to see it. Do we have the one of the photo shoot that he did? Where was that photo shoot? The one we can see there?
Oh, this was London Fashion Week.
Okay.
Someone called me down to take pictures for the London Fashion Week, and also earlier this year I went to Berlin as well, because another fashion designer called me down to ask me if they can.
So you need confidence to go and stand in front of these models in these fashion shows and walk around there and take pictures and say to them, look, do this, do that, right?
Yeah, at the beginning it was like I was a bit shy, but now I'm just like all over the place. Sometimes people say, wow, how did you get that shot? And I'm thinking, no, it's because of my confidence, because if I wasn't confident, I wouldn't have got that shot. And I knew that you have to be confident to get the shot, because there's a lot of photographers there as well. So you have to get the shot that the other photographers are not getting. Yeah. So you have to be confident in that.
We have a picture of the very nice picture that you took of a bridge in London. Let's see. Where was that? Which bridge is that?
That's Vauxhall Bridge.
Vauxhall, very nice colors, beautiful picture. Yeah. So how are you today? I mean, apart from you having now a successful business because you're doing really well for yourself, how are you as a young man, and what does the future look like for you?
Actually, I can see that my future progressing right now, at the moment, because before I was not seeing my future as bright. But now I'm more confident. Now I can project myself to somewhere where I think that, you know, this is where I'm going to be in the future, because at this current stage, I am progressing in my business and everything. My family is doing well as well. They can see that, the confidence within me. So my brothers and my sisters, they look up to me as well. So even in that, it makes me believe that, you know, I can be someone in life, and that's what I'm heading towards, and I'm not going to look back.
Good. And it's interesting you said that earlier. One of the things that made you feel inadequate is that you were the eldest, and your brother or sister, whatever, they should be looking up to you, but you saw yourself as a failure, so that wouldn't happen. But now they're actually looking up to you.
Yeah, they look up to me now, because now that I'm driving now, so they see me, they say, oh, this Elijah, I never thought that he'd be driving, I never thought that he'd be doing this, I never thought he'd be opening his business. So things are really, really progressing in my life.
Elijah, you're now driving a new BMW. Yeah. I was even asking Michael, because you brought Michael here tonight. I was asking Michael, so how is Elijah driving? He said, okay. I said, next time make him take the bus, because you drive him in the guy. No, it's okay. If I were you, my friend, he's driving really well. All right, guys, thank you so much for being here. And I want to tell you that you have an opportunity here right now with this program to make a choice where you will actually be reaping the benefits of that choice in the near future. We said at the beginning of this program that the actions we take today is what determines how successful our future will be. Now, of course, if you do the same thing again and again and it hasn't worked, there's a very big chance that if you keep doing the same thing, it still won't work. So perhaps you asking God for help, not just by thinking about it. And that's why I'm going to tell you about God's currency after the break. It's not just for you to think, oh my God, help me. Not just that, because a lot of people think that and there's no difference. So what makes the difference? I mean, Michael, did you believe in God before you came to church?
I did believe. No, I didn't really believe in him, because I didn't see him in my life, but I knew his existence.
So you knew of God. You believe that God exists. What about you? Did you believe in God?
Yes, I did, because I grew up in a Christian family.
So you grew up in a Christian family, believe in God, but your life was not very good.
Yeah.
So the fact that you believe in God doesn't change anything. The fact that you grew up in church, in a family that talks to you about God, doesn't change anything. I remember growing up, my mom taught me, James, before you sleep, you pray. But yet, I was sick, my mom was sick, our life was a mess, and yet I prayed. So what was the difference? The difference was God's currency, which I'll tell you right after the break. So don't go anywhere, I'll be right back.
As a man, I understand the struggles men like me go through. They need to be strong always and not to show any weakness, even though it's there. To be a leader to our family, to our wife and kids, when we really wish someone else would show us the way. To choose what is right in a world of wrongs. To admit to our mistakes when our egos don't want us to be exposed. To learn to be a man when we're still only a boy inside. Being a man is not easy. But hard is also a part of being a man. We don't like anything easy. We want challenges. We want to prove that we can do it. That we are bigger than the problems staring us in the face. That's why we go to the moon, we climb the Everest, we sail around the world, and build fast cars. We like the feeling of accomplishment. And please don't ever tell us it can't be done. We will die trying. Being a man is not easy, but we wouldn't have it any other way. And yet, the true conquest of a man is not measured by his money, power, or fame. His greatest achievement is to overcome himself.
Okay, let's go right to it. What is God's currency? First of all, what is currency? Well, currency is something you use to pay for something you want to have. So for example, you work a whole month and you make £2,000. That means you have £2,000 worth of a currency of a given country where you're going to use to buy everything you need. You pay your rent, you buy your food. So you don't have food. What do? You go to a shop and you say, look, here's £20, give me this much worth of food, right? So you use that as something to exchange. You have money, you don't have the food. Two separate things. I have money, I don't have food, but I want food, and they want my money. So you do an exchange, right? Because you have the currency, British pound sterling, in your hands. What is God's currency? First of all, why do you need a currency from God? Simple. Because God has something that you don't have. He has your healing. He has the peace you're looking for. He has the transformation of your life, the forgiveness that you want to forgive, but you can't. You don't have the strength to. He has the blessing for your relationship. These are the things you want that you don't have. But of course, you need to get these things somehow. So what's the currency? What do you use to achieve these things? God's currency is called faith. Now, what is faith? Faith is an unflinching belief. Can you say that, Victoria? An unflinching belief. It means you don't even have a second thought. You know when you don't even think that there's a slight, remote possibility of something not happening. That's faith. For example, let's do, I don't think we're going to have time for the prayer. Let's do something here. Let's open the camera shot. We have the sofa here. For example, I'm sitting down, right? Now, I'm going to stand up in a second. When I'm sitting down and I'm going to stand up, I don't even think for a moment that my legs are not going to hold the weight of my body. I don't even think about it. There's no chance. You wake up and you already know for sure that that's going to happen, that you can't stand up. You don't doubt that, right? Because it's natural. So you sitting down and you stand up. Please don't cut my head, right? So you stand up and still cut my head a little bit, but it's okay, I forgive you. And that's faith. You wake up in the morning and you're in bed, lying in bed. When you stand up, you don't think, will my legs hold my body weight? And true faith is this, is not even doubting that what you are saying you believe God can do for you will happen. So if you are, in a catch-22, you have this problem that's really pressing you at the moment, and you say, look, but I believe that this is going to change. I believe God's going to come through and He's going to change my life. I really do. So faith is this unflinching belief that He's going to answer you. So why does God want that from you? Because that is the highest expression of trust. It's when you trust a person so much that you say, look, I don't even doubt, not even for 1 second, that this is not going to happen. Just as a last example, I trust my wife completely. If my wife tells me, listen, I need to travel for a week somewhere because I need to solve a problem, and she's there for a week, there's not even a 1% thought in my mind that she might be doing something that's going to ruin our marriage. It doesn't even cross my mind. There's no doubt that she is faithful to me. And how does she feel about that? She says, my husband really trusts me. That's the highest expression of love and trust you can give to someone. And when God sees that from someone, then you become different from everybody else. Because that's something very hard to find. This faith is really, really hard to find. It's one, I don't know, 1 in a million. I don't know if that's the percentage, if there was to be a percentage. But the moment you become this 1 in a million, God has to treat you differently from everybody else. He has to answer you. He has no option but to answer you because you are not like everybody else. You become special to Him in His eyes because you chose to trust Him on a level that nobody else did. So what is God's currency? Is this kind of faith. If I just said here tonight that God's currency is faith, it wouldn't have done it justice. But I believe that my explanation really opened your eyes. So His currency is faith. And why do you need this currency? Just like you need currency to buy the bare essentials in life for you to survive, it's that faith that gives you the exchange between what God has and you want, but you don't have in your hands. So when you do this exchange, that's when the miracle happens. If you say, James, I need this. Well, like I said, we won't have the time for the prayer tonight. I've just ran out of time. But we will get our team of pastors to stay by the phone for another 10 minutes. If you say, James, I need a miracle. I'm desperate for a miracle. And I believe. I believe. There was a man in the Bible who said, Lord, I believe you can heal my son, but help me in my unbelief. That sounds like a contradiction. He said, I believe, but help me in my unbelief. Because he believed, but he had been waiting for so long that he was almost running out of strength. Perhaps that's you, but you still believe. You have this, you believe something can happen. Then take the next 10 minutes to ask for help. And we will not change your life because that's something that God does, but that's not going to happen in one day, but it can start tonight. The number to call is 020-7686-6300. It's been a pleasure to be here with you. We'll be back with you again tomorrow. Until then, may God bless you. Have a wonderful night.